I want to tell you a story today, and this is going to be a long form video, so forgive me, but it's a great story, so I hope that you humor me in watching the whole thing. In 2008, I was asked to come on staff at a church, and the purpose of being on staff in this church is not only to help with the operations and ministry of the church, but also to eventually plant a new church. When I got there was a man, his name was John, and he was a ministry intern. And he had been called to ministry later in his life, so he was probably in his early 50s at the time, and he had a lot of health difficulties. He was a larger man, and he had to go around in one of those hover-rounds a lot, but he had a passion for people, especially in addiction recovery, because that was kind of his backstory from the past, and he really wanted to see that people knew Jesus and people understood what love was all about. Months and months went by. He eventually got done with his internship, continued his education in ministry, but at some point in time he had to pause his ministry preparation, his education, because of his own health difficulties. He was a single guy. He had adult children, but his adult children were kind of on hard times as well. He was having financial difficulties, and eventually, fast forward, he found himself in negotiating with the university that he was with, saying, can he please stay in their on-campus housing? Well, time went by and he wasn't taking classes, so eventually they had to say, sorry, this is for people that are taking classes, and he ended up having to move out. And he was, at that point, living in his car, going from place to place, long-term hotels, all of those kind of things, essentially functionally homeless. And to the point where his health began to deteriorate even more and more and more, and because of his health difficulties, his age, he ended up moving into a nursing home. He and I became good friends, and I really liked his outlook on life. He definitely had his issues, but he was a wonderful, wonderful man and a very loving heart. But when he moved out and became homeless, he also lost his ability to have a phone, and I just kind of lost track of him completely. So it went from, I kind of started losing track around 2010, and fast forward to 2014, I had still not heard from him nor knew where he was. 2014 rolls around. I needed a job, a full-time job, to also support the ministry, and I was actually hired in 2014 to come on staff at a medical company. And I won't go into detail about all those kind of things, but it was a wonderful medical company, and basically they sent doctors into homes. Well, as one day I was looking on our database, something interesting happened. Basically, to kind of cut out a lot of the details, I happened to see who I thought was this guy who I had lost contact with for 4 years. Him and I became good friends, but he didn't have a phone, so how could I get a hold of him? He didn't do social media, all of those kind of things. It just happens to be that I was scrolling down and I saw his name. It was like a light shining out of it. From that moment, I just felt a pull on my heart that I needed to get a hold of this guy. I needed to find out if I could reach out to him and just talk and reconnect. But, how am I going to do that? Notes would say that, we've lost contact with him as well. And I happened to remember the last nursing home that he was at, because it was hearsay. It was someone told me and someone had told them. So what I did was, whether for good or for bad, I played the pastor, and I called the hospital that was really close to that nursing home and just said, hey, I think I have a friend there. I'm a pastor, adding that in there. Is there any way that he's there so I can come visit him? They looked in their records and they said, oh yes, actually he's been here for a few days now. He's had some issues, so come on over and see him. So I did. And I went over to that hospital, and right when I walked in, something interesting happened. Like I said earlier, he was a rather large man. He had to have like a CPAP machine and a special bed and all of those kind of things. The technician had just been working with him for about 2 hours, and I'm not joking about that. I'm not over exaggerating. 2 hours to get this special breathing device, a mask, CPAP, kind of like that, on his face, because his face was, bigger and had some dimensions that they had to work around, and all of the, a beard and all of that. So this guy had been working with my friend for 2 hours, and you could tell they were just exhausted. They finally got it right, and finally he could wear this and breathe appropriately. This man, my friend, had been disconnected from civilization, essentially. All the people that he knew, all the people that he loved for a very long time. His ex-wife was not talking to him anymore. His kids barely talked to him at all. Basically, he was all alone. And when he saw me walk into the hospital room, he looked at me, immediately recognized me, and ripped off the mask and started crying. And it was a really incredible sight. The CPAP technician, let's call him, looks over at me and looks over at my friend and starts yelling at him. Are you kidding me? I just spent 2 hours getting this specifically fit to your face so you could wear it. And my friend looks at him and says, I don't care, my brother is here. And that just really warmed my heart. In the midst of the conversation with my friend, and we visited for a long time, and the technician just stormed out. He's going to come back later and get this all fitted and stuff. He talks about his life and how it's been, and how he's been so alone, and he's been praying that God would bring him a friend that could speak with him and that could visit with him. And God brought me, and I'm very thankful for that. In the midst of this, too, he told me, he goes, because I had to give up everything, I don't even have a Bible anymore. I can't afford it. I don't have one. So I decided that I was going to go, at least for now, go down to the gift shop and get whatever Bible that they had. So I did that, and I got the Bible, brought it back to him. At least it's good for now. Might not be the version or the kind that he's looking for, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and go get a special leather-bound one, just in the kind that he wants, and get his name imprinted on it, and come bring it to him. And I thought that might take just a couple of weeks. I forgot to mention that before I did this, I visited with him, prayed with him, and we just had a great time. And he looked at me and he said, my son over here, and he named his son, is going through a lot of hard times, so I might be in the hospital for a little while, so can you reach out to him and just let him know that he's loved and kind of care for him and stuff like that? And I said, absolutely. So anyway, fast forward, I leave, and I go and I order the Bible, and everything's great. The Bible comes in. I say, okay, I'm going to deliver it probably here within the next week. And that's whenever I get online to find out that my friend had passed away. While it was so incredibly sad, I had the opportunity to do his funeral because he didn't have a pastor. He didn't know anyone else. He didn't have friends, other friends outside, because of everyone disconnecting. It's very sad. But I am so thankful that God prompted me to finally find my friend after he had disappeared for so long. So that's my story for today. Have a great day.